Hey family! So I want to do a spring look today, and I'm starting with my Sophisticate Brow Gel by MAC Cosmetics. I like to use this because my sister locks are like a chestnut brown and blonde tone, and so this just gives me a little bit more unity in the color of the brow. Next is my Posture Primer by Urban Decay. So I'm squeezing it out on the back of my hand, and okay, wait a minute, like so much of that stuff came out. It was like way too much. So I'm like trying to clean it off and it's like going everywhere. But anyways, I usually will apply this with my finger. I feel like I can tell better when it's dry because it gets tacky. When I use a brush, I really can't tell. I feel like it streaks a little bit. So this way I know how much to put on and really kind of when it's done and when it's, settled into my eyelid. So that works better for me. Next, I'm going to use a white gold eyeshadow and a MAC 239 brush. I think that this shadow is something, I want to say it's a pigment that I pressed a few years ago, so I forget, but it's like a white gold color. And I generally will just put this right on my eyelid. I like it to be more of a veil of color, especially for a spring makeup look. I don't really want a lot of colors on top of each other. I just want something that's really soft and really pretty, and something that's accessible if you've only got, 5 to 10 minutes to do something, cute. I don't want it to make the makeup super complicated. So I'm just adding the one color, and really I could be done with that, but I want to make it a little bit more, colorful. So I add this MAC Fig 1 eyeshadow to my crease. For a long time, I was trying to find like the perfect sort of plummy purple that showed up on my skin, that didn't skip, and I had used several brands, but this is the one that I seem to have like the best success with. I just like this one a little bit better. So I like to try to get that in my crease and really blend it in. The next item I'm using is the Max Factor Masterclass Liner. The reason that I like this liner, of course I just freaking poke myself in the eye. Okay, let me cover it with a little more eyeshadow. I don't want it to look like, connect the dots. So I usually will use a felt tip liner, which is why I like this eyeliner system. I don't mind a liner with like the brush on the end, but sometimes when I don't have a lot of time, you need to be more precise with it. So sometimes, like if I'm just, maybe 10 minutes or so that I have to do makeup, I'll go towards the felt tip liner, because it's like using a pencil. It's more like using a pencil than it is like using a brush. And I seem to get the same results using a felt tip as I do using a brush. So this seems to work for me. The next thing I'm going to use is the They're Real mascara. Okay, listen, y'all. Let me tell you something. I was really not trying to like this mascara. I used it. I got it like a sample size, and I got the regular size in like a kit at Ulta. And I'm like, I'll use drugstore. I'll use whatever. I was like, I don't want this one. It's $25 or $24, and I spend so much money on makeup, and I don't need to have another thing I'm addicted to. Okay, guess what, y'all? This mascara is so freaking amazing. Benefit makes me sick, okay? And y'all can call Benefit and tell them I said so, because they have now created a mascara addict, a They're Real addict. I didn't want to like it. It's holding me against my will. This mascara should be illegal because it gets you hooked. It's like heroin. It's like the heroin of mascara. Anyway, I like to wiggle the mascara on and, just kind of go in between the lashes. I like to go up and down and sideways. So it works for me. Now I'm going to use my e.l.f. Cosmetics makeup remover wipes. This really just cleans any fallout that I have. Usually I don't have a lot because I don't do a ton of colors. So that works. And then now, see, I got to shake this foundation up. This is my Becca Radiant Skin. The directions say shake well. So I just did that. Anyway, I like this. I don't think that Becca sells this foundation anymore. They changed so much. But I did get it at Sephora. It's called the Radiant Skin Foundation. And I like it because it just gives me like a radiant complexion. It's not really oily, it's not really dry. It just makes my skin kind of look like healthy skin. So I usually, with most of my foundations, will add this to my skin by hand, and then I will take a blender and just blend it out. I mean, well, sometimes I don't even really use a blender, but in this instance, because it is a little bit of a creamier texture, I just take the blender and blend it out and make sure that, you know, it's spread out evenly. Like, you can still see my moles, you can still see my freckles, but you also can see that the skin is pretty evenly covered. And I don't really feel like I'm wearing makeup. I don't like that feeling of like a waxy sort of finish. Now I'm going to take my NC42 Moisture Select Concealer by MAC, and I only dipped it in the brush, or I'm sorry, in the container once, but that was a lot. Like, so I wasn't paying attention. Y'all, you know, I'm not perfect. I do this all the time, and sometimes when I'm working on myself, I just like get a little lazy. So what I'm doing right now is, instead of blending it off, I'm actually pressing the concealer into the under eye area. What that's doing is it's helping it sort of settle in, and then whatever is excess is actually stuck onto my finger. So I like to kind of press it, and then just to ensure that I won't have a lot of concealer sitting in the crease, I take my blender and just kind of get the excess off. So sometimes I use the blender to blend, and in this instance, I'm kind of just pressing it on to make sure I soak up whatever's not supposed to be there. Now I'm using my Bare Minerals Golden Tan Powder. So I'm tapping this stuff. I tapped out too much. My bad. So I'm trying to fix it, you know, and it should only be like a little teeny bit in the top. I'm using that with my Chanel powder brush. This is like my favorite powder brush, and it was pretty expensive, so it better be my favorite. I really use the Bare Minerals powder just to work as really like a finishing powder. I know that Bare Minerals markets this as a foundation, and I guess if I use 10 layers of it, maybe it can be a foundation, but for me, I generally just use it as like a setting powder or a translucent powder. That's what works with me. Now I'm going to use, this is like one of my favorites, by Black Radiance. It's the Milk Chocolate Soft Focus Powder along with a MAC brush, but I forget what the number of this brush was. You can really use any brush. I use this soft focus powder more like a bronzer, because I always feel like when I'm looking for a bronzer, they have like sparkles in them, or they're too orange, or they're too something. And even though this is like a drugstore brand, the finish is really sort of creamy and smooth. I don't really use it as a setting powder, like I said, but I'm sure some people could. This for me just gives me a little bit of shape to my face. Next is my Cargo blush. It's called Key Largo, and it's like a pinky rosy blush with like a little fuchsia under it. It's a strange color. Like, it looks completely different on everyone's skin that I've used it on, but I like it for a springtime look. I like my cheeks to kind of have some warm, you know, rosy tone with a little maybe coral in it. And I just like that look. And I know it looks like I'm applying a lot. I'm really not, because I'm going to end up buffing it in a minute. But the next thing is this NARS lipstick called Sheop, I think. I feel like that's how you're supposed to pronounce it. I still don't know. I'm using a red lip liner. I think I got this liner from like the Makeup Show or from the IMATs. So it didn't have a brand name on it. It was just a color that I wanted to try. And I like it because it's really red and creamy, but you could use any red liner that you want. You see them juicy lips, y'all. I know y'all see them. Now, this lipstick is my absolute stinking favorite. It is like a fluorescent magenta, fuchsia. It's just the most pretty color. And the consistency is really dense and it's very creamy. So I don't see my lip color through it. I just see like fuchsia fabulousness, and that's my favorite. All right, I'll be right back. And here's the final look. Just a really easy, simple springtime glow. My hair is kind of doing what it wants. You know, that's what happens when you have sister locks. But, you know, whatever. I'm trying to get my life right now and tell them where to go. But anyway, getting back to the look, it's just a soft, really pretty look. Please don't forget to comment and subscribe. Thank you for watching my channel. Okay, guys, until next time.